Hey, everybody. Bop, 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 bop. Tutti fruity. Oh, Rudy. Ooh. Ooh. Mm. 2 thumbs up. Nobody's here. I gotta know if you can hear. Hey, hey, hey. All right, got audio. Good. Well, I'm gonna talk about this YouTube video by Cop Block. When should you shoot a cop? And because it's such a good video. Now, I don't want to be shooting cops. It's not what I want. I'd rather educate them and have them repent. But can you imagine in the post office if there were more people there to deal with the situation? I mean, look, Rebel and Chase were there to give their life, if needed, to save mine. Not, I think that the man at the door was I'm not sure. I heard the guys talking about AK-47. Now, whether it was a clip or he had, I don't know. But there was 3 of them, and we could only see 2. And it's the one, they sent the big one in. Little guy, young guy, looked like a young guy. Well, they were all young to me. Outside, just smiling, looking in. And whenever I looked over at him, so I'm thinking the 3rd one was ready to come out another door. Now, you see how crazy they made it. Now, what if somebody was there to say, hey, wait a minute. Didn't you just ask him a question? Then why don't you let him answer it? Like that. And then maybe somebody would have said, hey, they did this service for him and he contracted with all those posts. A sovereign. Yet the services is facilitated through another post for another man, comes to the Kalkaska post, and they put it in my box. You see, they just want to make up the rules as they go. That's why Kalkaska has 8 dispensaries, 3 head shops, a cannabis lounge in a town with not much of anything else. And who was here first? And who discovered gum tissue rejuvenation, calcified plaque removal, a sealant for the teeth that's impermeable to acidics? And yet the American Dental Association continues with 15 million poisonings annually on year because every root canal tooth is a toxic tooth. And I'm just internationally gang stalked by these motherfuckers. And it's all centered here in Kalkaska with the dumbest, most ignorant fucks of all. And I caught the top dogs. They're all flat ass fucking caught. Evidence. Undisputable, unrebutable. We just got to deal with them. And we do that by waking the people up. We do that by educating, especially the ones working for them. All right. I am I am attempting to upgrade this. As I said before, this is designed for painters, picture painters, and I modified it so that I could use it. And I had double back tape in here to help secure it. The more I thought about it, I thought, well, I think for this video, it should be turned this way. So I'm going to put a stop pin in here so that the tripod will set up. And so after this video, if I have to do any picture-in-picture videos for you folks, I'll try it with the tripod and see how that works. So at any rate, get your popcorn, get your notepad, clean your gun. Oh, I learned a lot from Chase. Learned a lot from Chase and Rubble. Both men have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas. And anyways, I'll talk more about that later. We'll get into the video here. I'm gonna go ahead and start it. I skipped past the sirens and such, and I'm gonna be stopping this along the way and commenting.
Out an answer makes most law-abiding taxpayers go into knee-jerk conniptions. The indoctrinated masses.
I must have back buttoned it.
When should you shoot a cop? That question, even without an answer, makes most law-abiding taxpayers go into knee-jerk conniptions. The indoctrinated masses all race to see who can be first and loudest to proclaim that it is never okay to forcibly resist law enforcement. In doing so, they also inadvertently demonstrate why so much of human history has been plagued by tyranny and oppression. In an ideal world, cops would do nothing except protect people from thieves and attackers, in which case shooting a cop would never be justified. In the real world, however, far more injustice, violence, torture, theft, and outright murder has been committed in the name of law enforcement than has been committed in spite of it. To get a little perspective, try watching a documentary or two about some of the atrocities committed by the regimes of Stalin or Lenin or Chairman Mao or Hitler or Pol Pot or any number of other tyrants in history. Pause the film when the jackboots are just about to herd innocent people into the cattle cars or just about to gun them down as they stand on the edge of a ditch, and then ask yourself the question, when should you shoot a cop? Keep in mind the evils of those regimes were committed.
All right, that's a very good question. When should you shoot a cop? Well, if the motherfucker is willing to die to trespass upon your rights, then I guess it's time to shoot a fucking cop. The problem we got here, folks, is that every one of these motherfuckers is involved in human trafficking, and the vast majority of them have no clue. So I am convinced that education can go an extremely long way. And the power I have with my position with cannabis and what Kalkaska is based on is cannabis. And all of the gang stalking, look, nobody's got a position like I do. Besides that, I hold court and I win every time. You people just need to wake up. Now, he's going to talk about this a little bit later in the video about the people who keep thinking that they can fix the system. You can't. You can't.
In the name of law. And as much as the statement may make people cringe, the history of the human race would have been a lot less gruesome if there had been a lot more cop killers around to deal with the state mercenaries of those regimes. Now, people don't mind when you point out the tyranny that has happened in other countries, but most have a hard time viewing their own country, their own government, and their own law enforcers in any sort of objective way. Having been trained to feel a blind loyalty to the ruling class of the particular piece of dirt they live on, also known as patriotism, and having been trained to believe that obedience is a virtue, the idea of forcibly resisting law enforcement is simply unthinkable to many. Literally, they can't even think about it. And humanity has suffered horribly because of it. It is a testament to the effectiveness of authoritarian indoctrination that literally billions of people throughout history have begged and screamed and cried in the face of authoritarian injustice and oppression, but only a tiny fraction have ever actually lifted a finger to try to stop it.
All right. I've lifted a lot more than a finger, folks. And it's time to finish the mosquito. It's time to finish the job. It's time to finish the job. And I just need some of you to be there. You First Amendment auditors with white shirts. You people, as one of the people with white shirts and cameras and questions and knowledge. People who can talk the talk. And you don't, if you can't be here, you got a phone, make phone calls, send emails, send faxes. They don't know what you're talking about, send them a copy. It's on the services page in the documents section. Just go download it, upload it to email, or send it in a fax or any other form. Send them over a copy. Educate these people. Executive Order 13818. And look, this is in the interest of government because Kalkaska was under a $10,000 a day penalty, retroactive to 2015. And then their continued nonstop gang stalking, conspiratorial trespass and treason and human trafficking. I held court again and it went to 20,000 a day. But it don't matter to them. I could hold another case. I could double it. It wouldn't make no fucking difference. It's just costing the people and the government. We're in reconstitution, folks. A shit ton of money. And you're all fucking slaves. So pay attention. July 31st. Be here.
Even when people can recognize tyranny and oppression, they still usually talk about working within the system, the same system that's responsible for the tyranny and the oppression. People want to believe that the system will, sooner or later, provide justice. The last thing they want to consider is that they should illegally resist, that if they want to achieve justice, they must become criminals and terrorists, which is what
righteous,
anyone who
lawful.
resists legal injustice is automatically labeled. But history shows all too well that those who fight for freedom and justice almost always do so illegally, i.e., without the permission of the ruling class. If politicians think that they have the right to impose any law they want, and cops have the attitude that as long as it's called law, they will enforce it, what is there to prevent complete tyranny? Not the consciences of the lawmakers or their hired thugs, obviously, and not any election or petition to the politicians. When tyrants define what counts as law, then by definition, it is up to the lawbreakers to combat tyranny. Pick any example of abuse of power, whether it's the fascist so-called war on drugs, the police thuggery that has become so common, the random stops and searches now routinely carried out in the name of security, such as at airports, border checkpoints that aren't even at the border, sobriety checkpoints, and so on, or any other example. Now, ask yourself the uncomfortable question. If it's wrong for cops to do these things, doesn't that imply that the people have a right to resist such actions? And of course, state mercenaries don't take kindly to being resisted, even non-violently. If you question their right to detain you, interrogate you, search you, invade your home, and so on, you are very likely to be tasered, physically assaulted, kidnapped, put in a cage, or shot. If a cop decides to treat you like livestock, whether he does it legally or not, you will usually have only two options: submit or kill the cop. You can't resist a cop just a little and get away with it. He will always call in more of his fellow gang members until you are subdued or dead. Basic logic dictates that you either have an obligation to let law enforcers have their way with you, or you have the right to stop them from doing so, which will almost always require killing them. Politely asking fascists to not be fascists has a very poor track record.
All right. Will almost always require killing them. All right. I have a long history of doing what can't be done. Now, most of you folks can't see what I can see. And this is why I keep coming back and I keep showing you more and more and more. And you watch the touring Kalkaska videos. There's 4 of them. They're short. Look at this little rinky-dink community. Look how foolish any of them look in the videos, whether it's Poopy Pants or the sheriff's department or the fuckery at the post office. A couple intelligent people standing with some real men, and we'll turn Kalkaska into a free public in August, where we will remove those bastardized gold fringed flags decorated with the British tassel, with the wings up or wings down, evil banking, evil Vatican, whatever. We'll destroy it and get it the hell out of there. Put up a Title IV flag and open a free court, a superior court, a people's court, a court of law. And Kalkaska will be the first domino to fall. And by the end of the year, all of us should be free. All we need is enough men to show up in Kalkaska July 31st, August 1st, August 2nd, and it'll just steamroll from there. All right. Get your popcorn, Go back to the video.
History. Consider the recent Indiana Supreme Court ruling.
Indiana,
that if a cop
all
tries to
power inherent in the
illegally enter
people.
your home, it's against the law for you to do anything to stop him. Aside from the patent absurdity of it, since it amounts to giving thugs with badges permission to break the law and makes it a crime for you to defend yourself against a criminal if he has a badge, consider the logical ramifications of that attitude. There were once some...
All right, it's gone beyond that. Armed street bandits, armed street pirates, bust into your domicile, into your home, and you defend yourself. They're dead. You end up in jail. It's fucked up. It's wrong. You can't. And one guy with 48 years studying the system, he still can't even tell the story right. He still don't fucking get it. He's still studying the damn system. Oh my God. Come on, people. I win every case. Learn when to shoot a cop.
Words written on a piece of parchment, those words now known as the Fourth Amendment, that said that you have the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures at the hands of government agents. In Indiana today, what could that possibly mean? The message from the ruling class is quite clear and utterly insane. It amounts to this: we don't have the right to invade your home without probable cause, but if we do, you have no right to stop us, and we have the right to arrest you if you try. Why not apply that to the rest of the Bill of Rights while we're at it? You have the right to say what you want, but if we use violence to shut you up, you have to let us. I can personally attest to the fact that that is the attitude of the U.S. so-called Department of Justice. Or maybe you have the right to have guns, but if we try to forcibly and illegally disarm you and you resist, we have the right to kill you. Ask Randy Weaver or the Branch Davidians about that one. You have the right to not testify against yourself, but when we coerce you into confessing and call it a plea agreement, you can't do a thing about it. What good is a right? What does the...
That is one of their biggest tactics, is that intimidation in the plea deal. It's all about money, 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 money. The faster they can create those exchanges and get on to the next one, they don't want no trials. That shit's expensive. But nobody's ever had a trial by jury in my lifetime. Back to the video.
Right even mean if you have an obligation to allow jackboots to violate your so-called rights? It makes the term absolutely meaningless. To be blunt, if you have the right to do A, it means that if someone tries to stop you from doing A, even if he has a badge and a politician's scribble, sometimes called law, on his side, you have the right to use whatever amount of force is necessary to resist that person. That's what it means to have an unalienable right. If you have the unalienable right to speak your mind, a la the First Amendment, then if all else fails, you have the right to kill government agents who try to shut you up. If you have the unalienable right to be armed, then if all else fails, you have the right to kill government agents who try to disarm you. If you have the right to not be subjected to unreasonable searches and seizures, then if all else fails, you have the right to kill government agents who try to inflict those upon you. Those who are proud to be law-abiding don't...
Now, if you think back to the Westerns you watched, you'll remember sheriffs riding out. And people had big property back then. We didn't have all these roads. And sheriff's riding, he's looking for somebody. Maybe he's even coming out to see the person that owns the property. And the person who owns the property, he ain't waiting for anybody. There's a fucking shot fired. Now, sometimes it's a shot to kill, Oftentimes it's a warning shot. Don't come any fucking closer. Who the hell are you? That's how it was. You lived in the private. People did not trespass upon you without ramification, because men were men, not fucking pussified fucking soy boy skinny jean fucking slaves.
Like to hear this and don't like to think about this, but what's the alternative? If you do not have the right to forcibly resist so-called legal injustice, that logically implies that you have an obligation to allow government agents to do absolutely anything they want to you, your home, your family, your neighbors, and so on. Really, there are only two choices. You are a slave, the property of the politicians without any rights at all, or you have the right to violently resist government attempts to oppress you. There can be no other option. Of course, on a practical level, openly resisting the gang called government is usually very hazardous to one's health. But there's a big difference between obeying for the sake of self-preservation, which is often necessary and rational, and feeling a moral obligation to go along with whatever the ruling class wants to do to you, which is pathetic and insane. Most of the incomprehensible atrocities that have occurred throughout history were due in large part to the fact that most people answer never to the question of when should you shoot a cop. The correct answer is when evil is legal, become a criminal. When oppression is enacted as law, become a lawbreaker. And when those violently victimizing the innocent have badges, become a cop killer. So the next time you hear of a police officer being killed in the line of duty, take a moment to consider the very real possibility that maybe in that case, the law enforcer was the bad guy and the cop killer was the good guy. As it happens, that has been the case more often than not throughout human history.
Well, there you go. They're all human trash, every one of them. And we've all been slaves, all of us. It's time we grow the fuck up. All of us. And since we can't all grow the fuck up, we need enough of us to grow up to make the change for everyone else. So, you don't have to be here to have an impact on Kalkaska. You can make phone calls. You got a channel. You can use it. Make it a public recorded call. Mail these people stuff. Go and visit them. Gather together. Make up signs. Bring signs. Postings for posting, wherever postings can be made. You make your own t-shirt. It ain't hard. White shirt and a Sharpie. We're looking to get t-shirts designed and made up. I'd be happy to give everybody a free one who comes. Even if we end up with way many more people here than we have shirts, we'll send them later. We'll just on the spot make them up if people didn't bring their own. And get the custom made ones out to everybody who come out here and liberate Kalkaska. Liberate Kalkaska, you're going to liberate America. How can you have a free public county in America and not have it all over America? It's the tidal wave that can't be stopped. It's the landslide that can't be stopped. And these cops are scared shitless. And these tyrants are scared shitless. Now let's wake them the fuck. Let's wake the not the guilty ones at the top. Ah, there goes his cock, baby. There's all their minions. Let's try and save their asses. Let's see if we can save them all. All right. No questions. Nobody. All right. I love you. Own your authority. Party in Kalkaska, July 31st.